Hi, everyone. Happy holidays. Welcome to Poetry and Talk. Thank you so much for connecting in with us. Poetry and Talk is a new online interviewing platform for poets to share their poetry, background, and inspiration. We have some great poets to introduce you to for these next couple of weeks to bring you into the holidays and to help close out 2020. So we hope you stay connected with us on our Facebook page, Poetry and Talk, and on our YouTube channel, Poetry and Talk as well. Be on the lookout for new poet interviews that we upload weekly, and please take a moment to check out some of the poet interviews already uploaded. We hope you draw some inspiration from them, and we hope that you're enjoying them as well. Thank you again for watching. We have a new guest poet to introduce you to. I'm Leslie Sue, the host for Poetry and Talk, and I'd like to welcome Mona Lisa Banzon Aspiras. Welcome, Mona Lisa.
Hi, Leslie Sue. Thank you for this opportunity to recite my poems.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for being here, Mona Lisa. So we have our customary guest poet to open up the show for us with a poem. If you want to give us a brief introduction as well.
Yes, my first poem is gonna be called, it's called Love, and I'm gonna start right now. Love. Love is a lie. It flies high like a kite. Then it lies low on the ground. It defies rationale. Then defines it again. Won't you make up your mind? It's, I guess, the in betweens that makes it worthwhile. This flight, more and more giddy. Oh, to be woken up from this. And then it carves itself up in the night sky after the sun sets, remaining a star of a memory, as the sun shone brightly in the morning sky, single in all its magnificence, yet still it is a star. So the star shines in the night sky, a memory among others. Love, what is your true meaning?
Nice, Mona Lisa. And I like how you end with a little twist, with a little question. So you're kind of having an inquiry or a discussion with love, and you're looking at it from a lot of different angles, and you have a lot of different kind of metaphors and analogies you attribute to love. Can you share with us what this poem means to you and what it's all about, please?
Yes, this poem is about this particular period in my life where I was in this relationship, which was sort of ambiguous to me because I wasn't sure whether it was reciprocated. So I wanted to give voice to my emotions and put a microphone in my head, to my head, so to speak, so that I could, uh, you know, give a voice to my feelings, to my thoughts, express my state of mind and my state of being. So when I say in the first paragraph that love is a lie, and that means that love is sort of, um, I look at it pessimistically. And then I say in the next line, it flies high like a kite, meaning, oh, it makes me feel optimistic. And then there's this play of, um, dual emotions, high and low, high and low. You know, when I say it lies low on the ground, it's low, it makes me feel low. Or it defies rationale and defines it again. Won't you make up your mind? So hence this duality which I see in love, which can be both high and low, and it makes you feel like, undecided. So then in the second paragraph, I talk about how it's the small things in life and love which makes love worthwhile. The in betweens, the trivial things, the small things which make it, important for us. So I say, it's these small things which actually make us feel love and make us feel giddy. And then why should we be woken up from this dream or to be woken up from this? And finally, in the third paragraph, I talk about how, love is likened to a star in the night sky, and it remains there, this relationship, one memory among others, among all the other stars. And should I compare it to the sun, which is also a star nonetheless, and the sun being the main star in our solar system. So the should I compare it to the the most important love being maybe others' love, other people's love, comparing our relationship to other people's relationships. But I cannot do that because the sun is yet still a star, and this star of mine, or this relationship of mine, is always going to be in the night sky, in my life, in my heart, and it will always stay there, a memory among others. And finally, when I ended this poem with, I say, love, what is your true meaning? I wanted to end in a philosophical way, like give it, as you said, a twist to something uh, culminating and climaxing to this philosophical point of view. It makes me want to question love, and it makes the reader want to question love. So it's an invitation for whoever's reading this to question this subject.
And it's interesting because you kind of like, you don't fully answer it. You kind of let it be open and a little bit ambiguous in a positive way, and kind of asking yourself this question, and having the reader or the listener, whatever the case may be, to also answer this question. And I really like how you have the star as kind of like a symbol to love, and with that memory in the night sky. So it's kind of like still with you, it's still a part of you, whether the relationship endured or hasn't. And then the sun, to me, and I'd like to know your thoughts on this as well. You elaborated on it some. The sun, continuing to rise again and again, and kind of just all the symbolism of the sun. It's sort of like that love will endure. That love has this enduring quality. That's kind of like a feeling that I got from it. Irrespective of how this situation ended or continued. So I found that to be very interesting, in the whole way that you presented it.
Well, I like the fact that you saw a different interpretation of it. And poetry being an art form is like that you can, the reader interprets however they want to feel it and um, live it. So I like how you saw that interpretation.
Mhm. And I also like, Mona Lisa, how you present like the dual aspect. You kind of see, okay, it can kind of be this and it can kind of be that. And you kind of say, well, it just depends on your perspective. So you kind of invite us also to say, okay, it's a choice. You're going to see it like this or see it like that. And you kind of move us through those emotions, as you were reading the poem as well.
Correct. For me, love is not one-sided. It's like a prism. It's multifaceted. It's like a rainbow prism. Love is not love if it's just one thing with all its highs, or some people prefer the suffering of love. Love is everything, multifaceted, multicolored, like a diamond prism. So
Now, Mona Lisa, are you inspired to write? Oh, we lost your video. If you could
that's
get your video back on. Okay.
okay.
Are you inspired, Mona Lisa, by different things that are going on in your life? Like, for example, this was a romantic love situation, and then you decided to kind of write about it and explore your feelings, and you were kind of questioning it. So does that play an important factor in what you're inspired to write about?
Yes, because poetry gives me an sort of like a chance to give voice to my feelings, to my thoughts, to my emotions, to what's happening, especially in my life at that moment. And I also use music coincidentally to help me elicit these lines, these verses, these poetry lines. Because what I usually do is when I feel particularly moody, or when I'm moody, I like to write poetry. But when I feel moody, I like to also listen to music. And then when I listen to music, I like, if I'm feeling particularly intense feelings, then I say, well, where's my pen and paper? or I type down the letters, and I just, while I'm listening, and then I I visualize and I imagine in my head, okay, so there's this thing happening and I feel like this. So let me put voice to my feelings as I listen to this music. And um, it's funny because it's the synchronicity. I have lots of synchronicities in my life. So um, when I listen to that particular music, which is giving voice to my feelings at that same time, I call it luck or want to know how it just happens like that. And then um, my lines flow out, just come naturally like that. So I guess I I call myself very lucky because with my love of the arts, with my love of music, and I like to make um tie in the music and poetry together, and it gives me inspiration and voice to my what I'm gonna write next.
Mhm. And Mona Lisa, is there a particular genre of music that you gravitate towards? Is there a certain emotion associated with this? Can you share how the music plays a factor in respect to the genre? And also, you're actually listening to music as you're writing at the same time, and then you're also having like visuals about it as well.
Yes, correct. Well, I like all types of music. I like classical, I like jazz, I like alternative, rock music, pop music. There's in particular this group, contemporary rock group called Coldplay. I'm sure many people have heard of them, especially the young generation. And so I like them because they are um, sort of very inspiring and they give voice to their emotions and the current situations for the generation as a whole. However, they like to do it so that individuals can relate to those feelings. So I think they're particularly genial, like very like genius like, because they can talk about collective emotions. However, when an individual listens to their music, they feel like Coldplay, the band, is talking to them individually. So I have used their music particularly for inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
And is that something that you aim to incorporate in your poetry as well, Mona Lisa? Like there's that relatable aspect, like you want someone to read it. And yes, it's something that maybe you're experiencing, you're going through, you're giving voice to your emotions, but yet you also want someone else to be able to relate to it. So is that kind of part of the puzzle, so to speak?
yes, I would say, funnily enough, ironically, well, I'm sure when one is an artist, one is also partly an exhibitionist. Has to have this sort of flamboyant. I mean, because when you're an or artist, like a poet or something, or a painter, when you're a poet, you want to express yourself and um, give voice to you want to say, here, this is me, this is how I feel the world, and like want you experience the same things that I do, and see, this is how I feel and this is how I think, and this is my life, and why is this happening to me, and stuff like that. And I'm sure, um however, that other people do it also for therapeutic and cathartic reasons, which is another reason why I write poetry and why I do art.
Mhm. When you write a poem, once it's finished, Mona Lisa, do you feel like an immediate release? Do you feel like immediate, like cleansing, a healing? How does that play out
Yes,
for you?
yes, I do. I really feel like, especially with my best poems, that I created a work of art, a masterpiece, because God speaks to me. God speaks to me through them. Like they just flow from my, like that. Like I don't have to write. Usually my best poems, I don't have to erase and then rewrite and then erase and then rewrite. But um, the sentences seem to come in my mind, and I just write them as they flow in my imagination. So as I said, the inspiration can come from music, from my feelings, which correspond to that particular state of being synchronized with that music. And I feel like after I create my best poem, yes, it does feel like it feels like I'm really satisfied.
Hmm. That's a beautiful process and a beautiful orientation. So you feel like God is actually giving you the words, giving you this flow. And that's so beautiful. I think even the word flow is so beautiful. So you're getting this kind of like automatic flow. And it's
Yeah.
just, you just kind of, it sounds like you just kind of naturally move into that space.
Yeah.
And that's correct.
Yes, like I have another poem, for example, called After the Flood, and I would like to read it with your permission. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, after the flood, after the flood of tears, after the quakes of earth, of body, of soul, after the fall of the heavens, of the angels, life still goes on. The sky still is blue, the grass is still green, the sun still shines on. And I like this poem particularly because, again, you can see this duality that life or love, because I wrote this when I was also in a relationship where I was not sure. And I wrote this saying, after the flood, after the quakes, after the fall, so after this negative feelings, life still goes on. The sky still is blue, the grass is still green, the sun still shines on. So you can say life is still negative. I mean, you can, if depending on your state of mind, if the reader wants to see it in a positive light or a negative light, they can see it in that both ways. Because you know they can say, if they're in a positive mindset, they can say, well, after everything, the sun still shines on, everything is remains as it is. So life is still life and love is still love.
Hmm. Now, when you finished a poem like this, um, where do you stand? Like, for example, again, you were kind of questioning things, and again, another relationship. And I still get a sense and a parallel from the first poem that you read of a sense of endurance. Like, like irrespective of how the situation ends up or that it whatever it is or it isn't, there's still this endurance, like as you said, like life goes on, there's this continuation, there's this flow. So has it kind of helped to ground or solidify a certain perspective within you? Has it kind of solidified that in any way?
Yes, because I would say that life and love are permanent things in our creation, which God created. And I wanted to give voice to this fact that despite everything, the how can I say, the that emotions are not something to be, they're fluid, they're variable. Emotions are variable. So what is stable in our lives? Love. Oh, life. And love in a way is multifaceted. One cannot experience it just happy or sad. No, it's all things. And love is a part of life. Life is a part of love. And it's an experience which, like I mentioned in the other poem before, it's like the star. It's part of your life. It will remain. That experience will remain in your heart because it's been a part of something which you experience, and it's been a part of your life already. It's been carved in your heart and in your life because you experienced it. So yes, there's that duality, but yet there's the stability still, which is the fact that life still goes on
I
and it must go on.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And Mona Lisa, I think that's such a beautiful point because you kind of like guide the viewer or the listener to
Yes.
what is what is there that is not fleeting. You're saying like the emotions and this and that, different things that we go through are fleeting. They're temporary. They're there, then they're gone, here, there, and
Yeah.
but the things about love and the things about life, that's really kind of like making up the fullness of life, not these other things. And you kind of
Correct.
differentiate that and kind of guide us to, okay, what is, kind of like most important, so to speak, or what has, that enduring quality. That word kind of seems to keep coming up. Do you agree with
Yes, I agree. And Leslie Sue, I also agree with, I like the words which you said, fleeting, the fleeting, temporary qualities of emotions, and that life is the fullness of life, the wholeness of life. That's to make it, experience it completely in a full and whole way. I
that?
like the words that you mentioned, fleeting and wholeness
Mhm.
of life.
Mm. Thank you. Yes, it's I think as poets we have certain words that we can really gravitate towards, like, certain words that you've been saying, and it's just like they just have a real resonance with us. So I appreciate you sharing.
Right. Thank you.
Mona Lisa, what else about your poetic journey that we haven't touched upon yet would you like to share with us?
Well, I wrote a book available on Amazon.com, and it's online in Amazon.com, called Musings and Reflections, a book of poems and artwork. So it had this is my artwork here called Dream. And this book basically it's a chap book, which means a small book of poems, and has some artwork there. And you can find this in Amazon under, let me see here, www.amazon.com/author/Mona Lisa Banzon Aspiras. That's my Amazon author page. Or you can just type my name in the search box, Mona Lisa Aspiras. And actually, I wrote this book. Um, I produced it myself with the purpose of condensing all my poetry since 2010. And I'm in the process of writing more poems, which is the two poems which I recited now. Those are two new poems. But basically, I'm also an artist. I have an art portfolio at www.monalisabaspiras.art. And there I have collection of various artworks such as digital art, um, acrylics, watercolors, and I have different styles such as abstract, which I just discovered recently. So realistic, and I have my artist statement there too.
Mm-hmm. No, okay, so you're in the visual arts as well as poetry, and obviously you have a great love of music. Um, do you correlate your digital art to your poems? And if so, which comes first? How do they kind of like connect with each other?
Mm-hmm. Well, in my poetry book, Musings and Reflections, for example, um, I have this artwork, self portrait, for example, which I put, and it's called, um, there's this poem, which I don't want to give it away, but it's about identity. And then there's another poem about ethnicity, and I have, let's say, artwork about my country of origin, Philippines. Native costume, and their the tribal matriarch, for example. I come from the Philippines, but I actually wanted to say I was born and raised in Rome, Italy. So I consider myself blessed and lucky to have to be multilingual and multicultural. And so having come from having like different perspectives in life made me more open to experiencing life in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like to want to get into, Mona Lisa, if you are writing a poem and you
Mhm.
want to include an art piece with it, did the poem come first and then you're like, oh, I want to create an art piece to go with it? Or does it come a different way, or vice versa?
Yes, I'm so happy you mentioned this because I write a poem and then I correspond the artwork with it. But coincidentally, also when I create my artwork, I don't think of a title and then or something and a subject and then create it. Sometimes my artwork, especially the abstract ones, are depends on the process. So one could say life is like a journey. So the same way, artwork is the journey is just as important. The process of making it is very important, and whatever comes out, um, I try to figure out a title for it, and I think of some titles which I can imagine just by looking at the artwork, and then it will come out like some ideas just come in my head, spontaneously, and I thank God for that, because um sometimes I don't want to analyze too much or think too much and let inspiration flow, um as you said, the flow word. So
So you seem to have a very interesting balance between the inspiration, the flow, and then also giving it some thought, giving it some
yes,
structure
correct. Yes,
to create it.
correct. This balance between rationalizing, analyzing, and the side of the brain and the right side of the brain, which is more to do with out of the box thinking, creativity, innovation, and imagination. Especially imagination is so important.
And do you feel like you're pretty centered with that? Like you kind of like you know when to go here, you know when to go there, when to kind of pull from each side and kind of
Yes,
stay in the center.
yes. And for this reason, my book talks about different subjects like philosophy, religion, self-acceptance, identity, even some humorous subjects, Mr. Potato and Mr. P, for example. Or when I give anthropomorphize, I think that's the word, when I give human attributes to inanimate objects such as the sun, a rock, or a simple thing as a rock, but it plays importance because I like how a rock gives stability. And this was written during a low point in my life again. So I was saying, well, I'm like a rock because even though it's so simple, it's stable, it's foundational, it's what the earth is made out of. So I like to talk about different subjects, nature and humorous subjects, and I can be silly, sentimental, or philosophical. So
Hmm. I like that you cover so much territory in subject matter. It gives it kind of like a nice wide scope, so to speak.
yes, I believe that variety is the spice of life, and I just basically believe that without this, one cannot be. I don't want to say one cannot be because I really believe it's up to each person's journey in life to focus on whatever happens at them to them at that specific moment, and each one is journeying through life, and however they want to best express their life and their journey is up to them. But I like to see it from a general point of view and then focus in on the specific varieties and things of life which make life so spicy.
Mhm. Yes, yes. I love your openness and how you like to look at things from different perspectives.
Yes, yes.
Mona Lisa, we are going to need to close out the show. We would like for you to offer some closing comments and also if you can let us know how to stay connected with you, please.
Okay. You can connect with me. Do you want my email or the
Sure.
website?
That's up to you. Any of your social media connections so people can stay in touch with you and your book, of
Okay.
course.
Yes, I will repeat my Amazon author page, www.amazon.com/author/Mona Lisa Banzon Aspiras, and my art portfolio at www.monalisabaspiras.art. And there's a contact form there, where you can contact me if you have some questions in my art portfolio. So I just wanted to conclude that poetry is something which anyone can do, because if I can do it, anyone can do it. And I also put in my art website that if I can do art, anyone can do art, because we are all the same. We are all humans, and this emotions shouldn't be something which one should flee from, because with practice, I wasn't an artist before, I wasn't a poet before. With practice and with imagination is the strongest thing. One can do anything,
Mhm,
including writing poems and doing art.
mhm. Great closing comments. Thank you so much for being our guest poet today, Mona Lisa. It was a real joy to connect in with you, and thank you for sharing your poetic journey and your poems with us.
My pleasure, Leslie Sue. Thank you so much for having me here.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
again, everyone, for watching. Please stay connected with us on our Poetry and Talk Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. And we'd like to thank again Mona Lisa for being our guest poet. And we'll talk soon on the next Poetry and Talk. Until then, be well and be blessed. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mona Lisa. We'll talk soon. Be well and be blessed.